Hey everybody, Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick update on my experience with the Logitech G933 Artemis gaming headset. This is a 7.1 surround sound headset. It is wireless, has some dedicated buttons here on the left, RGB lighting, on-off switch right here, priced at $200 US. This is the update to I would say the famous and also slightly infamous G930, which Logitech has been selling for many years. It's been my go-to, and it has had its issues. No headset is perfect, and it has been a great value. The 933, like I said, very highly anticipated because, well, the 930 has been sitting on the market now forever. And so what I can tell you is that the audio quality on the brand new 933 is great, right on par with the 930. In terms of the microphone quality, that's an area that unfortunately I feel it comes up a little bit short. I was hoping for better performance than what the 930 was capable of, and while I think that it's slightly better, it's not enough to necessarily be my dedicated microphone for gaming, especially if I'm capturing for my gaming channel or for all of you to actually watch. At least I don't find the audio right now to be that impressive. But you be the judge. Most of my recent gaming samples are with this headset, so I'm curious to hear what all of you think. Now, when it comes to the RGB lighting, it does eat battery life, so keep that in mind. There is a dedicated button, and you can customize all of these buttons here. Of course, the power button is the power button no matter what. And the G3, all of these are preset, and you can actually see the presets right here, whether it's to mute the device, even though you can still mute it the classic way by closing the microphone altogether, just like on the original G930. But this can all be customized. You have a volume rocker here at the bottom. The plastic build seems slightly inferior, believe it or not, to the 930, even though, of course, the capability does outdo what the 930 was capable of. One thing I can also tell you is no disconnections whatsoever. However, even though we don't have any technical disconnections because of receiver issues like the 930 was somewhat notorious for, this thing does put itself to sleep after about 5 minutes as a power-saving feature if it believes it's not in use. Logitech push out a software update to turn this feature off. I don't generally use the RGB lighting. Again, you can cycle through different colors. You can preset it to be a certain color, of course, when you're in a specific game. It will remember that. The software is not perfect, but it does function, no question about that. And the effect, at least if someone can see it, of course you are not going to see it while wearing it, is cool. It does stay in current theme with basically all PC gaming, which includes RGB lighting on some level at this point. And I do like that Logitech made the battery user replaceable. I think that is a key element because, after all, why shorten the lifespan of the headset when you can keep it going simply by allowing a user replaceable battery? I'm not in love with these covers on the sides. I feel like sometimes they attach, sometimes they don't, like right now. It should be as simple as clipping in, there we go, but occasionally I think they're on and they're not. In terms of comfort, I can tell you the pad change going from the leather style to the traditional foam is comfortable. And I wear glasses when I game, so for it to be comfortable, even with glasses, is a huge thing. And in fact, I think it's more comfortable for me than the G930s were. And that might just be the difference in the actual ear cup material. This is also lighter, or at least appears to be, on my head, which is a good thing. I'm not in love with the styling, just as I could have lived without the RGB, but I know a lot of you love that. Down at the bottom of the headset, the micro USB port, I have found to be a little finicky. I say that because sometimes the device is charging just as it should be, and other times I've plugged it in and it has not responded at all. It's also relatively tough, believe it or not, to insert the cable. It's got a very just rough contact, I guess. It could just be my headset in particular, and I had one instance where the headset wouldn't charge or power on. It was basically acting like it was dead. I had to pull the battery 3 times. And when I say pull it, I don't just mean remove it, but rather once you get it out of here, you've got to disconnect the actual wire. I had to do that 3 times. Third time was luckily a charm, and I did get the headset back working. So that could be a QC problem specifically with this headset. I am going to exchange it and give it another shot. I think I have a lemon here. But the other things I mentioned, like the power saving function, which can get annoying quickly, is something I wish Logitech would eliminate. I understand what they're going for. It's just not necessary. On the left side, you have your storage unit or space for the receiver in the event you're not using it, because you can use this wired. That is one of the nice things. I'm using it wirelessly personally. That's the whole premise with the 930 line, and here now it's update the 933, but Logitech wanted to give gamers the flexibility at a $200 price point to choose exactly what was going to suit their specific needs, and I think that was smart. So overall, this is definitely a warranted, and I would say a very good upgrade over the 930s. Will it satisfy everyone? Not necessarily, simply because I would say the biggest thing that it accomplishes is correcting disconnection drops, but it's replaced those with the power saving drops, which you just wake up the headset by hitting one of these buttons, but it's not intelligent enough yet. That's the problem. I mean, I'm in conversations, VoIP conversations, talking to friends, and the microphone is being used, the headset's being used, so it should be aware to not put itself to sleep, and it doesn't. I haven't had it do that during gaming, but again, during VoIP, it has done that, and that's something this headset should not be doing. It should be self-aware that the mic and headphones are actually active. You may have also noticed when this comes down, the red light is there. That means it's muted. The bug on the 930s that occasionally the mute would not unmute when lowered as it's supposed to. It is doing it right now, as you may have noticed. The red light's going off when I bring down the microphone. That does sometimes happen here. So that's maybe the only bug this shares with the 930. The microphone does extend, so you can actually, angle it to your personal preference, try to get the best microphone performance for at least how you wear the headset. But in my opinion, the mic still comes up a little bit short for my needs, as I mentioned earlier. But overall, again, nice headset. I'm going to be sticking with it, even though I do need to replace it. And the RGB lighting, that's really the other big noticeable thing, which I think just puts the headset, really brings it up to date in terms of styling. In terms of battery life, I mentioned that the RGB lighting cuts it down. I think Logitech says 10 hours without lighting, 8 with, and I think that's relatively accurate. I mean, I tend to charge this after almost every, long gaming session or full day's use where I know I'm pulling, several hours out of it just because I don't want to forget and then end up with a dead headset. Luckily, the USB cable is long enough that it's not really an issue. I've also heard that Logitech is now shipping this with, instead of a rubberized micro USB cable for connection and charging, they're now doing it with a braided cable. If that's the case, please drop a line in the comments. I'm curious. That would just be more evidence that this first initial shipment of G933s had a few issues, or has a few issues, that Logitech is actively rectifying. Again, Logitech, please get rid of the power saving feature. I know what you were after. It's an experiment gone wrong. Otherwise, the 933s are a pleasure. I'm just giving the entire picture to those of you that are curious, because I know a lot of you have the 930s and are wondering if this is a worthwhile upgrade. And if you're like me and really loved that headset but wished it didn't have disconnect issues, that's exactly what the 933s deliver. That may not be enough for everyone, but for me, it is, especially the user replaceable battery in the headset. We know when that dies, the headset won't die with it. We'll be able to get a battery at least from Logitech or from China. That's also quite likely that generics will exist. But any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. And of course, as usual, please feel free to subscribe. Later.